So it's been a year and a half since Halloween Ends came out in theaters and either pissed a lot of people off or made a lot of people really happy. But no matter where you landed on the spectrum there, you were surprised. So a year and a half later, has your mind changed at all about Halloween Ends? What's up, everybody? It's Nick here from the Lost River Drive-In, and today we're going to talk about Halloween Ends, but specifically your journey with the movie. What your experience was when you first saw it and where you sit now a year and a half later. This is not going to be a video about me telling you why you should love the movie. Look, if you're new here, you don't know that I love the movie, so maybe you're clicking off now because you're like, oh my god, this guy loves the movie. But that's not what this video is about. Still, I'd like it if you subscribed and left a comment down below and let me know what your process was digesting this movie and where it sits with you now. So giving you guys kind of my journey with this movie. If you were a fan of my channel back then, before the movie came out, or listened to the You Need a Horror podcast with Christian and I, you heard us openly talk about how we were scared for this movie. Look, I had seen the leaks, I had heard the rumors, Christian had himself, and we were both really worried about it. A lot of it sounded like it wasn't going to work, it was going to be really stupid, and knowing that kind of Danny McBride was behind it, I don't know, it just didn't really seem like, at face value, maybe those ideas could work, but with this guy, and what they've shown us so far, I don't know if they can really handle that material. Now, I went into the movie with super low expectations, and I loved the movie. Now, part of that probably is my expectations. I was really muted on the film, and I came out not only like not being disappointed, but being pleasantly surprised. So I took some time. I watched the movie a couple times that month that it came out, and then I waited a year to watch it again. I didn't watch it until the following October because I really wanted to let it sit with me and kind of see where I am with the movie now. And I'm happy to say, personally, that the movie has only aged better for me. Look, it is undeniable that the movie is polarizing, and maybe that is good to you, and maybe that is why you hate the movie. But I think all of us, when we first saw the movie, got a lot of things that we weren't necessarily expecting. And that takes some time to kind of digest and process and understand how you feel about that. Major changes in a long-running franchise where a lot of rules have seemingly already been established isn't something that's an easy sell to the fan base, and that's completely understandable. Myself, personally, I was ready for the rug to be kind of pulled out from under me. I had seen a lot of what Halloween had to offer up to that point, everything it had to offer. And while there's a lot of good in the franchise, there's also a lot of meandering and a lot of just kind of same old. And Halloween Ends was very different. So from the very first time I saw it on opening night, I was engrossed in the film because it was just different. From the beginning, it didn't open like your typical Halloween movie. It wasn't shot like your typical Halloween movie. It was very different. The focus of the film was very different than a typical Halloween movie. And that, from the beginning, had me personally drawn in. Now again, this is not for me to say that you guys need to love or hate this movie. I'm just giving you my experience and what it's like now for me. I was so enthralled with the story of Corey Cunningham and Allison, believe it or not. I actually really liked their dynamic, and I liked Corey's story on its own. And I really started to care for this character and feel for this character, and in some ways be able to relate to the character. And as he takes his turn and goes down on this descent, this downward spiral, you're just kind of sympathetic, but at the same time, you're also kind of giddy because you're like, kind of excited to see what happens here, and you already know the big bad is still out there, so what happens when Corey tries to take the mantle? All of that stuff was really exciting. Now obviously you had a great performance by Jamie Lee Curtis as Laurie Strode, in a role that she's not typically doing as Laurie Strode. Somebody that is healed, or giving the appearance of being healed, and really trying to be normal and trying to move on, and not relying on the crutches of alcohol or anger, or whatever it may be. We've seen a lot of iterations of Laurie Strode, and this, I think, is the most forward-thinking Laurie Strode we have seen since maybe 1978, in a positive way. And I really liked that for Jamie Lee and for the character itself. Now, all of that is to say, I didn't need the third act of this movie. And you guys might take that as, oh my god, you didn't like the third act? The third act is the only part of the movie I liked. No, that's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just saying this could have totally been a self-contained Corey story And I would have walked away with the same feelings I had about the movie because he's the anchor of the movie. It's not Laurie Strode. It's not Michael Myers. It's not Allison Strode. It's Corey Cunningham. And that's basically where this movie will land with you. You know, whether you like Corey Cunningham, his story, and the actor's performance or not. If you don't, the movie's not going to work for you. But if you do, I have a feeling this movie worked for you. As far as the third act goes, it was incredible to see Laurie Strode have that catharsis and have that moment with Michael Myers to really kind of get the upper hand once and for all, to close a 40-plus year chapter. It was a big deal. Look, guys, I know people say all the time, yeah, Jamie Lee says she won't come back until the money's right, ha ha. No, she's really not coming back. She's in her 60s now, and after the press tour she did for this trilogy, it's done. It's over and done with. By the time they would even think about resurrecting her character, she'd be probably in her 80s. It's just not going to happen. So this is it for Laurie Strode. And personally, it was really cool to see that climax for her. But having said that, guys, again, I didn't necessarily need it. But I think that's the beauty of this movie, and the direction in the writing is that you're able to take the story of Corey Cunningham and weave it with Laurie Strode's story so well, and have it culminate in the Laurie versus Michael that everybody wanted. Now, I know I say that statement and some of you guys probably go, yes, but I wanted the whole movie to be that, and that's why I didn't like the movie. And to that, I can't argue with you. I simply can't, and I won't try. Because if that's what you wanted out of this movie, you clearly did not get that. So I understand being, disaffected and upset by the final product. But for me, I had an hour plus of an engrossing story to get me to that climax, so I got the best of both worlds. And as I said, as time has gone on, I've really reflected on this movie, and I've watched it a couple more times, and it just burrows into your mind. It's a movie that I can't get out of my head. I absolutely adore this movie, and I feel like as time goes on, a lot of people say this, but I do think it's true. It's going to age better. I think it left a poor taste in a lot of people's mouth because there were some people that actually thought, well, what if this is the end of Halloween? What if this is of what we know to be the Halloween franchise? That's not a fitting ending for me. And if that is your stance, honestly, right now, there's nothing else, so I can't argue with that. But I will say, looking back on this 25 years from now, we're going to go, oh, well, it obviously wasn't the end. So now let's look at it through that lens. And I think it'll be easier for some to digest there. I personally feel like not only did it give me the ending I wanted for Laurie Strode and Michael Myers, but it also gave me a really cool new original story in there as well. And all of that just kind of led to a perfect movie for me. It's a movie that I don't have a lot of complaints with, and I probably wouldn't change much, if anything at all. Now, it's no secret to any of you guys that have followed me for any amount of time, the backlash that I received online for my initial response to this movie. See, the YouTube algorithm, I'm just gonna tell you, it put in work for me that night, because my review blew up for this movie, and my short video blew up for this movie. Well over 10,000 views, which is big for me. I'm not a massive channel or anything like that. And with that, it brought a lot of people that don't normally watch my stuff, and a lot of people that were searching Halloween Ends that night were people that hated the movie and wanted to argue with people about it. So I know what it was like for a lot of people. I know the visceral response that this movie brought out of some people, and I saw it firsthand. It's really a shame that we can't, as a community, a lot of times just disagree and be like, I'm glad it worked for you, but it just didn't do it for me, man. And that's okay. It always seems to just cross the line when it comes to big franchise movies like this, and I'll never understand why. Because at the end of the day, we all want the same thing. We all want to enjoy the movie, and we all love these characters. Sometimes we just disagree with what direction they go in, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. If anything, that makes us unique, and that makes the experience itself unique. So, having said all of that about the backlash and my experience, this video was to ask you guys. Now, I know some of you guys, you're not big commenters, or you're definitely not commenters that want to, type a paragraph. I get that. I understand that. But I am asking you, I want to hear your experience with Halloween Ends. I want to hear your journey. What was your reaction when you first saw the movie? And as time has gone on, how has that changed? You appreciate it more or less? I want to hear all of that from you guys. I want to hear where it sits with you today. I want to hear where you think it'll sit with you 5-10 years from now. That was the point of this video, was to simply ask you, the viewer, has your mind changed on Halloween Ends? That doesn't mean that you had to have hated it and now like it. No, you could have hated it and still hate it. You could have liked it and now love it. You could have loved it and now just like it. I don't care what direction you went in. I am asking you, tell me your story. with digesting and processing this movie and where it sits for you today. And the question is, has your mind changed on Halloween Ends? Make sure to comment down below and let me know. Subscribe to my channel if you have not already. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I never get tired of talking about Halloween or Halloween Ends. This is Nick from the Lost River Drive-In, and I'm pulling out.